Ron, could you take the roll call, please?
Koski.
Here.
Hutton.
Here.
Silver. Here. Split.
Here.
Gallops.
Here.
And Walker.
We got a full house tonight.
Wow.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm glad you're here. Okay, I'm looking for a motion to approve the agenda tonight.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion by Dave, second by Ron to approve tonight's agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Past minutes, we missed July, so it would be, we gotta go back to June 5th.
We were locked out?
We were locked out.
We got locked out.
Yep. Okay.
Nobody explained that
It was just, I guess, somebody forgot
to let us in?
to let us in. It was fine. It's okay to miss a meeting once.
Yeah.
We didn't have a lot.
We're good.
Yeah,
Well, it's just-
We're good.
it happens.
Yeah, it looks like they're almost a Xerox of like last month's agenda.
So, looking for a motion to approve the past minutes from July, or June 5th, I'm sorry, June 5th.
I'll make the motion, we accept.
I'll second that.
Pass minutes.
Okay, motion by Billy, second by Matt to approve the past minutes of June 5th. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Financial, we still, I believe, we have, as of June 30th, $11,106.57.
I'll make the motion, we approve.
I'll second.
I do have one discussion item. We did on January 1st, you can see in the, I don't call it a ledger, but in expenses, we gave $400 to the League of Women Voters. That was gonna be to cover part of the expense to move
That's fine.
that sign.
That's not it.
Come to, today, the last I heard was the state was putting all kinds of mandates on where the sign had to go. So the last I talked to, and I can say it was Ellen Sorensen, that I think they're putting it on hold.
Okay.
I will have to check if we should get that $400 back. I
Yeah.
think we should.
Right, yeah, until they do.
But just so we know that, yeah, we should get it back into our checkbook, and then if they do move it, I guess we could
Do
get
it
it.
again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
do it again.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
just so everybody knows that,
Do we need to vote on that or not? It's just, no.
well, we can make a motion to accept the financial report
And
with the idea that,
with the to get the
Stipulation.
$400.
yes, yes. I'll make that motion.
With a two,
Yeah, I'll second.
friendly motion.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Then I'll second that.
We can do it that way too.
Okay.
I'll make the motion to accept the financial report with the idea that we will be receiving back the $400 that we gave to the League of Women Voters. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay. Second by Billy. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Public comment. Joe, you want a public comment on your parking ticket? No, wrong meeting, yeah.
It's a historic parking lot.
I live in a historic property.
Okay, we'll go
You're
right.
driving a historic car, you have no truck or something.
Yeah.
So I'll just make a note that, based on that Carrie Chapman cat marker, that the state, the location proposed directly adjacent to the existing state historic marker in the Lowell Schoolhouse would be denied by both the State Historic Preservation Office and the Program and Outreach Team. So they have, determined that placing the marker in the zone that was outlined in the red could potentially negatively impact the Lowell Schoolhouse's historic designation. So basically, I think that this decision was then, they would pull the sign from being moved to that location.
Okay,
That was just a note that.
thank you. Okay, number 7, certificate of appropriateness applications. We have one for 121 Watson Street, That is a new membrane roof. And I believe with the building inspector, Sue Leahy, she's here, I think she fast tracks that, and then because it's a roof and it's always a timing issue, and then it does come around to us, so I believe they may have started already, I
Yeah, I
don't.
see the truck out there.
Okay, so,
What do we need for a roof?
what we do, because it's exterior, we still need to approve it.
They still need the certificate of
Yeah.
appropriateness.
Oh, okay.
Because they're in the downtown area.
Okay. So we need a motion to approve that.
It's just a flat roof.
Mhm.
that putting-
And they're putting in a membrane or a rubber
Right.
roof, yeah.
You'd have to be on an airplane to see it.
Yeah.
During the EAA, this could be an issue.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion
We
to
do.
approve.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Dave, second by Billy to approve the 121 Watson Street Certificate of Appropriateness for a new membrane roof. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I don't have to email you, Sue.
Good.
Because you're here. Number 8, update on 107.5 Watson Street. That is, well, I had it in parentheses, non-compliance. It was the 3 windows that were put in. I'm going to make a motion that we approve the 3 windows for 107 Watson Street, because the guidelines are just guidelines, so we can't force them to put in the archtop windows because they're just guidelines. So my motion is to approve, because that actually came to us for a certificate of appropriateness, and that was back in,
It was a while ago.
that was quite a,
Yeah.
3 months ago.
And it was never approved.
Well, they approved windows, but as long as they were.
As long as they were archtop.
And
Yes.
they said they would come back and put those arch tops in, but.
Yeah, and then in the meantime, we went through the whole debate of guidelines versus ordinance, and so we have no ordinance to force them to put in the archtop windows. So, again, my motion is to approve the windows that are in there right now.
Didn't they agree to do it? Weren't they going to, or did?
They were, well, maybe Sue had an email, I think Sue
Yeah,
Lady had
there's,
an email.
there's special order window, because these took over 10 months to get, the ones that are in there now, because they're not a standard size. But they had to reorder the other ones to the round tops. So they are in order, they just haven't received them yet.
Oh, so they are putting them in?
She think, yeah, they are on order.
Right, but the way they are now, they can be approved because it's just a guideline.
Because of the guideline.
They can also not be approved because it's a guideline. And they're not following the
Exactly.
guideline.
But it's not an ordinance.
Right. And we have no
We have no
power
power
here
here.
anyway.
Right.
But I think it's a mistake to okay it because we're saying it's a,
There's an ordinance requiring a certificate of appropriateness that then would trigger a building permit to be issued for the project. There was a bit of an issue with this one in that the building permit was not issued for the project because of the Historic Preservation's review of the certificate of appropriateness. The certificate of appropriateness was approved with brown top windows.
right.
The day after that, they were doing the project, right? Without a permit. But the permit in the ordinance says without a certificate of appropriateness, no building permit.
Which
So-
is still sitting on my
Yes,
desk
on
with
her
the
desk.
check.
Yeah.
So there is an ordinance, there is ramifications.
Right.
And those ramifications are doing work without a building permit.
Right.
Right, and that's up to, I think Sue to double the permit or whatever the,
And that's why the building permit's still sitting on my desk, because you guys did not grant the certificate of appropriateness.
For the window that they're putting in now.
Yep, the window that
which
they
is
put in.
Which is not compliant with downtown.
it doesn't matter if it's compliant or not, they're just guidelines. We went through that
I understand that. It,
How can we cherry pick what guideline we're gonna enforce?
but that
Exactly.
that one's pretty obvious, though, that
Well-
the windows downtown need the arch.
I understand what he's saying is
It's right
that
there.
this goes both ways. I mean, we can,
Go ahead.
So, I just, it comes down to the certificate of appropriateness, whether it was issued or not. The guidelines inform the certificate of appropriateness and the decision of the board, right? So you can use the guidelines and issue a certificate of appropriateness, even if, though it deviates from the guidelines. In this particular case, there's a pretty standard guideline to put the round top windows
Right.
that was upheld in the review of the certificate of appropriateness, right? That's what happened.
Right.
And a building permit was not issued.
So then they went against
So the
the
ordinance
city's-
and the guidelines in this, they're working, right? And there
Right.
will be a
Ramification.
ramifications
Right.
if they don't comply.
Right.
And that's all we can do.
But if we do this and okay it, then they don't have to do it.
They still didn't get a building permit.
Right.
Yeah, so they need the building permit in order to put the arch in. And they already have that, do they not? Didn't we, I'm confused here.
No permit.
We said okay to the windows with the arch.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that was a couple of months ago. That was done. And then, why didn't they get a permit then?
Because they put the wrong windows in.
Right. So we're telling, by doing this, we're gonna tell them it's okay to put the wrong windows in.
That's what I believe we should tell them.
That it's okay to leave those windows in?
Mhm.
I
Won't that
disagree.
open the door for someone else to do the same
Yes.
thing?
Yes, and we went through that, my point is we went through that
So
with
why have a
with the
guideline?
other building, exactly.
exactly. But
When
that-
we approved the archtop windows, we were under the impression that the guideline was gonna be followed, all the guidelines in the manual.
Mhm.
That was my impression when I voted on it. Now we're saying we don't have to follow all the guidelines, we get to pick which guidelines we want to enforce.
Which guideline was not, where,
Yep, and I'll just say it was Ted Grant's building.
and what's not?
We didn't approve all of what he wanted done, and it went to council, and council approved it.
Right.
And, right, but those were guidelines that, the reason we didn't approve it all was because in our guidelines, it said this, center openings, that's the biggest sticking point.
Right.
And those center openings on his building are not gonna be changed. So
Yep.
council bypassed the guidelines.
Yep.
So how can we enforce the window guideline and not the center opening guidelines?
I just think it, in my opinion, I just think it's because if that's what was agreed upon was like the round top window, I think that then they, next day, like Adam said, like they just went ahead and put in flat ones and violated it without even getting a building permit. So I kind of think they should get punished for, in my opinion, for
Yeah.
immediately putting in the wrong windows after agreeing to the round top ones.
And I
But,
think-
I mean, I get it both ways too, but I think in this instance, like they specifically were, I mean, the way I'm understanding it is they were under the agreement to put in the round top and then immediately the next day put in the flat ones, which,
I believe they claim that they
but.
didn't know they had to put the wrong, the
Oh.
contractor was from out of town. No. We can believe that or we don't have to believe that.
But,
Yeah, the other thing is they should have like known that because the certificate of appropriate needs to then be okayed by the common council, and they were still kind of jumping the gun.
And just had them put in without anything.
Yeah,
They
without-
showed up
Right.
the next morning right after. the
Yeah, like I was like, whoa,
Right.
wait a minute, I just
Well, they,
didn't sign
yeah,
it
the
last
very
night.
next morning, I went
Yeah.
by and it's like, what? But, so my statement is then why do we have a guideline? Period.
That's
First,
coming
we
up
should
on
get
another
we should get
number
a second or not a second on my motion. And then we can have more discussion. I guess that would be the proper way of doing it.
I guess I'll second your motion.
Okay, Ron, second it. Then we can have more discussion.
That's the legal way to do it.
That's,
some snooty guy in England is like, ha-ha, I got you into the.
Roberts or whatever.
Robert
Okay.
would not approve.
So your question, Billy?
None,
No, okay.
none, none.
I understand where we're going with this. It's probably good that we're doing this,
Yes.
for obvious reasons.
I think we still have to turn it
To
down.
to me, to be honest with you, I want the round top windows, the arch top window. I
Yep.
absolutely want every
Yep.
building, when they replace their windows, if it had a brick opening, I want that. Where I have the sticking point is how can we enforce it on one person and not the guidelines? It's the same manual. We're just not talking the upper windows, we're talking lower windows and other aspects of the front facade
Yep.
that we don't follow the guidelines.
See, for me, it's a real issue, because I did 17 next door. I came up with an easy way to do it.
Mhm.
It was economical, but the way I did those windows, anybody doing a window, why would you not? The worst thing we
Well,
can
it's-
see in Ripon is a square window.
The square windows, and I don't want to see air conditioners hanging out on,
Right.
all that.
Yeah.
Just on our
Yes.
3 blocks. I mean,
But we need to have this discussion and figure out what we're gonna do.
Well, I think as a group, going back to Ted's, we did not approve it, correct?
We approved 5 out of the 6.
Right,
Yeah,
we did not approve the 6,
Right.
which is moving the doors.
yeah.
So, I think this group should stay consistent. And obviously, the windows are not compliant. And for us to say it's okay, I don't understand. Because I understand Ted moved a couple of doors to make a building more accessible. But the thing is, there's buildings downtown that have the doors moved. We didn't really break the bank on this, so to speak. But if we started, part of the uniqueness of downtown is the round tops on the windows. We are destroying that on this building unnecessarily.
Again, though, but so the uniqueness is also the central door locations.
But not all of
Businesses.
them have that.
We have pictures of his that were,
Yeah, now, I'm not saying his wasn't original.
Yeah.
But I'm saying downtown, there's others that are moved around like that. So it's not, we're getting better use of the 2 buildings by moving them. We're making 2 buildings one and moving the doors. And he's doing a complete renovation, and it's gonna be one of the nicer looking buildings downtown. I don't think we should do
Yeah.
something like, you can't tell somebody, you're gonna do this huge remodel, but you gotta do it exactly like this. The intent of downtown historic district will still be there in his building. This is just doing a window, and it's gonna be completely different than the other windows that have been fixed. And it is a unique thing about downtown are the round windows. So if we allow this, now no one has to do it anymore. We have now opened up something as a committee that I don't believe we want to do. If the council wants to overturn it and say, if he wants to take that to the council and them say, yes, you can put your square window in and leave that like that, we did our due diligence, which is to make it look. We're trying to make this downtown look like an old downtown. And by allowing this, it's just totally wrong. It's a couple of windows.
yeah, I had the same feeling.
Yeah.
I'm firm, I'm that way too. I don't
So
want,
I'm dead set against approving something like this, especially when it's 2 windows and it's gonna stick out like a sore thumb. And if you just did a little bit more work on it, it'd be a plus.
And the same
Down
thing is
there.
actually the original windows were actually in there while I was seeing them taking the stuff off.
Right.
And accordingly, the best thing you can do, actually, even because you'll never actually see the energy savings back, is just to refurbish the windows that are in place and make sure you have a
Right.
decent storm window.
Yep.
well, they could leave the windows that are in there and just put what I did, cut glass right over the top
Yeah,
and fixed them in.
yep,
That- The old building over here, all those round windows are that way. I did it cheap, not to say they won't do
Yep.
it, but
it sounds like you can go next door and talk to them. That'd be something they could do.
I could offer it.
Yep,
I mean, I'd probably do it for free just to keep the windows looking correct. It sounds crazy, but it was easy what I did.
so as
So
a,
I
as a
agree
group,
too. I don't think we should change just because.
Right.
I think we should need to stay firm with it.
yep, as a group, we need to,
I mean, we can add, or I'll ask Adam, sitting here, are we getting too picky? I mean, does it seem, I know we were maybe before,
What I would say in this particular situation is if you look back at the original application, right? It was for square windows. That was what was submitted. There was no round top. This commission approved it contingent upon the round windows being put back in,
Yep.
right?
For my recommendation, because I had it on the floor.
Yeah.
Because that is the guideline, right?
they just need to finish the job.
The alternative to that, and arguably the more appropriate, is to deny it. Because
Yes.
it doesn't include the arch top windows,
Exactly,
okay?
Yeah.
It's to deny it, because it's not to the standard.
right,
You guys put a condition on it to try to save, I think, time and somebody coming back, right?
Right.
correct?
right, yep,
That's the concept, which is fine. The alternative was to deny it. They could come back then and say, well, what was wrong?
yeah,
We kind of played this out with the other application that went to the council. And if at that point you can't come to an agreement, and this
Right.
board says, we deny it, and you can't come to an agreement on what's done, it goes to the council.
yep,
And that is the process.
Yep.
So in this particular case, to sit here and say we approve that original application that contradicts the guideline,
yeah,
that is a decision that you have to, but it clearly doesn't meet a very basic principle in the guideline with windows.
yep.
So,
So it would have been easier for us to deny it, the entire project right away.
No, I think we did the
But
right
we did-
thing.
we did.
Originally how we did.
We did the right thing. We didn't know they were gonna come the next day and put in
Right.
those
Well, that
square
was
top.
pretty, yeah, that was
Yeah.
already, you don't get windows right away.
No, that's why I was thinking
That
it
was set
wouldn't,
up a long
Yeah.
time.
it just wouldn't happen, but it did
if the property
happen.
owner didn't want to do what you did, right, and recommended, then what do you do? Because we're sitting here 9 months later,
Right,
right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
who should have made that decision then? Because right now, we're in this flux of who's, and we're gonna find, or what's gonna happen, right?
right,
The reality is that property owner has a right to come back to you and say, I don't want to put those in. And if you say, okay, they don't have to do it. Okay? But if you say, no, we want you to put it in, then they can appeal it to the council.
right. And as a body, I
And
don't
that's
believe we
already
should
what we
okay.
voted
Well,
on.
so, well, we already voted
But
on
it
it,
hasn't happened.
right.
Right,
So
So let's vote on the motion that we have,
to.
which really isn't, I don't know if it's a fair motion or not. I don't know if you can just,
Do we want to do a roll call?
well, no, I'm just thinking that we already did
Yeah.
approve
On condition.
on the condition of, so by having this other motion, maybe I should just pull my motion.
if
Can I
you
do
pull your
that?
motion and you okay,
Yeah.
then we're done.
We're done.
And then I think we revert back to, they're still not in compliance with our original
Right.
request.
My thoughts are, Sue, are you still in contact with them at all?
Yes.
You are, and they're still saying they're gonna, okay. Then, with that said, I'll pull my, I don't know the proper term, rescind my motion.
Yeah.
Rescind it.
Rescind your
I'll
motion.
I'll pull my second.
Just
Okay.
rescind,
Here we
and then
go.
Ron will rescind his.
And I don't know if we have to
To
vote
count.
on that.
No,
I can't.
there's nothing to
No, I
vote
don't
on.
think-
There's nothing, okay,
Yeah.
then I just rescind my
Maybe
motion.
one day I'll actually go for Robert's rules and figure out what
Yeah.
to
I'll put you in charge of that.
Oh,
See what you get for knowing something, buddy?
Because I always go to Lud and say, Lud, can I do this or that?
Is
no. Just do
there,
it, just do it.
I quit
Is
asking,
there-
bud, he always tells me no.
Yeah,
I have a question. Is there a time limit for doing when we approve something, is there time limits,
it's
or can we put a time limit on it?
Is the building permit 2 years?
1 year.
1 year?
1 year.
1 year.
1 year.
New house is 2 years.
But they don't have a permit yet.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
So once they get the
That's
windows,
the
now
problem.
they'll have to get another building permit.
Well,
Once they got
they'll
the round
contact
top,
Sue, and then
yeah.
Sue,
Right.
because we already approved it, then Sue can sign
Yeah.
it.
But I
Okay.
have a question, can you guys put a time limit on it tonight when they need to get the new windows changed, put in?
What's it been, 9 months, 8 months?
I think it was like
No,
March or
it
something
was
like that.
April.
Well,
April.
I think we should, if it's legal, I think we should, because they could prolong it for
Right.
years, and maybe
Forever.
she'll sell the building then, and,
I don't have my pass.
It sounded like it was the renter that, if I remember correctly, it was the renter that was actually wanting the new windows, if I remember.
But right now, they put in a window without going to you.
Well, the building permit's sitting on my desk with the check, with the fee, but I cannot issue it till there's a certificate of appropriateness from you. So that's why it's still sitting there. I cannot issue it
But-
without that.
But
we did.
We approved it with the stipulation that they put the arch.
Right.
But they
and
didn't have the arch.
And they were notified that they have to have the round top.
Yep. And
I thought we were
and
told
it's still
they were
sitting there.
doing it.
That's,
That
yes,
we-
they are, that's what the emails to Sue are, that they're
Yes.
making
They
new
have
ones.
new ones
or-
ordered.
Yeah.
Did you, did
Okay.
they give any indication of how long it would take?
No,
or-
they said these took 10 months to get.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they
So,
waited till the last minute to send all the paperwork in, that's when they found.
Go ahead, just shout it out.
I believe that the ordinance for certificate of appropriateness is you have 2 years.
okay.
I
You have 2 years
thought I
after
saw
the-
something for 2 years, but
So
yeah.
after the certificate of appropriateness is issued to do the
Do
project.
the work.
Okay.
Okay.
So we issued, it's all been issued. So they got 2 years from whenever that was that we sent that to you, correct?
Yeah, so we've gotten already 4 months in,
Yeah, it's 4 months in.
so 10 months then? Or not 10 months, 8 months?
Well, April.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah,
Been on every agenda this year, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has, yeah.
yeah. So it's.
Normally
So-
it takes like 2 minutes to get through. but-
My question is, we approved it with the arch top that's sitting on Sue's desk. Can we just consider that those are old windows and you issue the permit and they still have to replace
They
those?
still have to replace them to the round.
I don't know
tops.
how, you know what I'm getting at, that,
But the way you guys
Even though they put the
approved
wrong
it,
ones in, they still-
You wanna see new drawings. If I remember correctly, you wanna see new drawings
oh, I don't know.
of the windows showing the arch top.
We never got it.
No,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
It
if
was
we
just
could
the
get,
agreement they would be arched.
yeah.
To follow the framework.
Right.
That's how it came,
Mhm.
follow the framework.
Are you in contact with them?
Yes.
So they say it's on order, so if we could get a copy of what's on order, we can approve that. Is that not if that
Which
comes
proves
in
that they're
here?
doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yep, it proves, yes, it proves to the city of Ripon that they
Right.
are doing
That they
it.
are working on it.
Yeah.
because you can't, I mean, you're ordering a custom window, you can't tell whoever's making them, they have to make it in a month. They're gonna make it
Right,
on
it
their
gets
own
on the
time.
schedule,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
And I've ordered lots of windows and it's 10 months ever.
Yeah.
never.
Yeah.
It's getting better. Not a lot, but it's
I just
getting
put
better.
That's not
33 in the
right,
third on the corner. It didn't take no 10 months, but anyway, I'm just saying.
So-
that.
Well, I'm glad I'm retired.
So we're at the point where we approved it.
Yep,
It's on Sue's desk. Our certificate, our approval of the certificate of appropriateness is on her desk with a
Yep.
check from the owner.
yep. And we're
Actually,
waiting for
But we're
the,
waiting for confirmation
Of the
that
round
they're
window.
doing the arch top
of the
window.
half
Right.
window. Yep,
Okay.
all right.
Then we can't.
I love a plan.
So yeah, if we can, I guess if we can get at least the order form showing that's gonna be the round top, then we probably
Yep.
can approve
And then we'll
that.
approve that and away we go. And in 2 years, when they
I
finally
guess
get
I'm,
We'll formally approve them versus
Yeah,
okay.
contingently approving them.
Yeah,
okay. You
Can you
can,
go back and see how, the way your email read? Because
okay,
I don't think
if
it
there's mud, all right.
okay. Any more on that? Anybody have more on? but that's good. It was a good discussion on it. We got it out.
Since we had a membrane roof, we can accept.
Yeah, that
So
was
I'll
easy.
throw a wrinkle in this, and
Oh.
it's just, this is the process, right? In December 6th of last year, you approved the certificate of appropriateness. That's when I believe this was put on the agenda, so we're now into
It was
August.
December, huh? Okay.
Wow.
Because there
Yeah,
was
it
an
was.
issue with non-compliance and everything, it didn't go to the council, and I do not believe it's been approved by the council because it's sort of hanging out there.
Right.
So a certificate of appropriateness is not officially filed or approved
Okay.
until the common council acts on it. So this
Okay.
has not been issued. You theoretically, with the plan they submit, you could have them come back with that and say, here's what they're putting in. You could say,
Right.
okay,
As soon
now
as-
you're good,
All right.
and then we can
Then
send
you
it to
can-
the
yeah.
council, and then it
Okay.
starts the
Then we'll
two-year
officially
clock.
approve it. As soon as
But
we
it-
get that, we'll
Yeah.
officially approve, because that was,
I
that's
think
what
that's the way
was.
you had it worded in your
Yeah,
email
we
to
did.
me.
We said it was
Okay.
contingent on
Right.
getting the windows. The
Okay.
the round window, half-round window, not a round window.
Cover top.
Okay, let's move on.
Please.
You sure?
That horse is dead.
Yeah, that one, we got that one.
That one's good.
Southwest Historic District signage. It's been so long. Did we didn't do anything with it? We didn't pick a day?
Yeah, I
We were
said,
gonna go,
yeah, we found like that basically all the poles have
Okay.
the same basic bracket.
Yep.
Yep, okay.
So we do know
Yeah.
brackets that we need
Yeah.
and number that we need? Okay.
Does the city have them available, or do we have to order them?
What do you need? That's the question.
It's basically like, let's see if I still have, I think I have the pictures on it in my phone here still.
Because maybe you
They're the
could,
brackets that fit into the sign that's on top.
okay, so
Top of
plan
the
sign, and then there's
the
another
other
spot for
sign.
that one.
They're-
Okay.
Almost all of them are that.
Yeah, all of them were. Yeah, basically
Okay.
they were all that style.
Yeah.
Okay,
So you need one that goes
so
on.
need one that goes on top of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you have the number of,
How many do you need?
Yeah, we had you had it.
At least 20.
let's start with 20.
Yeah, let's start with 20.
Okay,
Yeah,
that
there's
sounds
two that
good.
are kind of, they're outside of it, but they'd be kind of the entryway, but
Okay.
Okay, so you need 20 top brackets. Do you need a ladder?
We'll just pull a truck up there, can't we, and work off the bed of a truck?
you know me.
Well, I know,
Yeah.
me too. I'll just put a.
yeah, it was kind of interesting. Some of them we
Like
could
that.
just like tap on
Yeah,
with our
some-
hands.
yeah.
And some of them
Here's
like,
our answer.
Yeah.
He's the tallest one.
yeah. I was on a ladder. I was still like,
I think a standard
Our-
step
we have-
ladder, we could reach most of them.
I've got
Okay,
plenty-
so
we have plenty.
we're gonna put them on.
We have plenty
On
on
your
there.
hands and knees, and I can stand on your
Oh.
back. I guarantee you we can reach them all.
Yeah.
I just give some helium.
Do we want to set a date to do it?
Well,
Let me check if I can get.
yeah,
Yeah, it'll be
Yeah.
September.
yeah, maybe like,
I'll
report
just-
back to us on that.
Yeah,
or-
I can, you sent me an email, I think I'll
Yeah.
CC and John and we can.
Okay,
He might not
I'll keep it
like
on the agenda.
how crooked we might make them.
Well, the city can straighten them then. I'm sure the poles are perfectly
Yeah.
straight.
And there was a few that we could like,
There's a few. There's a couple.
Okay, okay, good.
Um,
Okay, number 10, discussion to change guidelines to an ordinance. I have been in contact with Sue. We're working together, and just a few of the things that I have written down that I find most important to make them the law or ordinance are to absolutely put archtop windows back in
or at least, or windows to the original,
to the original opening.
the original opening.
because there are a few that are still kind of square.
Yeah.
But not many.
If there's any cast iron columns in the front of your building, those must remain. I have them on my building, and you know some are ornate, some are just square. You can just walk down the street and find them, no problem there. So the cast iron columns, preserve the brick, no siding over the brick, you know, things like
That
that.
would be horrible.
It would be very horrible.
No change in the wainscot size.
This one's gonna raise eyebrows, but keep the center openings, they must remain, especially if you have a picture to verify that it was a center opening. glass sizing to the guidelines, and it's always 2/3, the height 2/3, and then 1/3 of the kick plate. Keep the kick plates to scale. Painted facades. The use of wood or a PVC material is acceptable. Painted. No aluminum coverings, and no heavy textured look-alike wood side, or, wood boards.
Composite,
Like a composite, that's the PVC.
PVC. right.
It's not heavily textured. If you look at, it's called LP Smart Siding. It's
Right.
very heavily textured, almost like a rough cedar board, which wouldn't be appropriate for like a downtown or
Right.
like a restoration project.
Good question, will we have trouble with the aluminum because flashing? And-
No, when I say aluminum, and we'll get more details on it, when I say no aluminum coverings, that would be like somebody covering
Then
the
it's in,
wood,
right.
the painted wood that you have, the painted trim with aluminum,
Somebody
sheet
calls,
stock
take a
or
piece of
something.
tin and put it under, I think, like Monkey's old place.
Yeah, you could have flashings over.
Well, I'm just saying,
flashing.
what you're thinking about, somebody's cross corner to corner, put a big piece of tin over the bottom.
Yes, like if you have a wooden
Which I
sill, you
think
could just
Mookie's
cover
did
it.
that, didn't they? Somebody down there did that.
They did years ago before we had an ordinance,
I was
or I
just
mean,
thinking
guidelines.
Because all the window casing, a lot of door jambs are all aluminum.
And that's, when we replace windows and doors, we've already approved the use of aluminum stock and then like a thermal pane window.
Yeah.
And I'll
If
just
we
use the
read-
example of like Diedrich Jewelry Store. They did that.
Yeah.
Patina V has that.
I'm just saying, if we do it with aluminum, we have to be specific more about it. So for some-
And we can,
Yeah.
yeah. Yes, these are just ideas, and if somebody else has another, if they
Yeah.
want all concrete steps, or, you know what I'm saying, no treated lumber for the steps to get into your building, I think that could be one. That's a valid
Right,
concern. There should be a poured concrete step instead of
right.
treated
That would
lumber.
be a good one to put in.
Well,
because
I'll write that, it
yeah.
just popped into my mind, I don't know why, but no treated lumber.
I mean, you want it to look as close, pre-1920s even, as you can get it.
Right.
I mean, that's the whole idea.
Typically,
Yeah,
Yeah.
horse crap
commercial
in that road.
Yeah.
concrete,
That's good.
That'd be good.
concrete step.
We get that on some of these parades. Anyway, sometimes
I
those
was-
horses miss.
I don't want to go off on a tangent, but I was working over by Marquette, picking up my tools, and I could hear this whiny, and it sounded like if you ever heard a muffler dragging on the road. And it was coming from a mile or so
The
away.
airboat.
And we were just watching the road, and all of a sudden there it was. It was an Amish wagon with steel wheels making that noise. I waved to the guy, he waved back.
Awesome.
It was,
I imagine it took forever then, so.
it did, and you could just hear it all the way.
Yeah, when he said it took forever to get there, Artie, I said, no, that's,
Yeah.
there's a horse.
My death is going to be very slow.
There's a horse in the front of that one.
Yeah, and then look at the nicely paved road out there too. They got these shoes that got like teeth to them.
Yeah, there's like a little stud on it or something, yeah.
Yes, and they are tearing up the roads like you would not believe.
Maybe was something we might want to say about pictorial evidence, because the other thing is there's certain buildings that they wouldn't fit within the Victorian things, like the old heist.
Yes, well, yes,
Yeah,
and
so-
that, that would get returned back to
Yeah.
1925 or whatever that was,
Right.
Yeah,
that
but
era.
there could be some stipulations that we're putting in here that might not.
There's
Right,
some-
right.
There's some buildings down there that are not in it.
Yeah.
Right, yep, that's true also.
Or that, like, at least when it was put in, they weren't compliant, but now they could be actually.
Right, if they changed, there are buildings down there not compliant that could be.
Oh,
And we need to encourage that as
The old-
much as
If
we
they ever make
can.
any changes.
Yeah, the old Hamilton building is now would technically fall into the 50-year.
Yes, the federal savings, and
Yeah.
loan, yeah. Mhm.
City Hall.
So that's what I'm working with. I'm gonna sit down with Sue and we're gonna come up with a list of things, and it's,
And get them in the ordinance.
yeah, and get them into a form of an ordinance. Of course, it'll come back here for us to look at and approve or disapprove. And if anybody thinks of anything else, it could be, you know, I just thought of another one, you know,
What
like if
about
somebody
lighting?
replaces their glass, they want to put in thermal panes. Should that be clear glass? I would not want to see like a mirrored glass.
Right, because they didn't have that back then.
No, right,
I mean, that's how you gotta, you
We
want it
gotta-
to look.
right. But you know what I'm saying, some of those
You can
glass
get-
panes, they look almost like a mirror from the outside. But
Right,
when you're
yeah,
inside,
that's-
you can see.
Right, no.
What about outside lighting? Like
I'm
putting
trying to think if we're.
fixtures on the outside?
Yeah, some have done it. I don't
I'm
ever
just curious.
remember
It's-
approving any of that myself, but
I mean, how do you reproduce old lighting from?
Yeah.
You don't.
yeah, you don't, I mean, you
Really?
can put in
Gas
like a,
lanterns.
Do you know how
You have to
many
go to
old,
electric from gas, that's all.
there's a lot of old lights out there that you can refurbish.
And actually, that look
There's
is
a lot
coming
of
back.
commercial ones. I do residential ones,
Mm.
and I do lamps, fixtures, and things like that, and there's just no market for the commercial
Mm.
aspects of it. I could have got a hold of a bunch of commercial fixtures. I guess I should have got a hold of them. Maybe I could have.
there's still some
downtown.
up the street. They still
Yeah.
have some old,
Yeah, so,
um,
but no, there's plenty of them out there that you can refurbish and put LED in, and they look, they're beautiful.
Also, how do you make that consistent within an ordinance too? Is because like we have
Right.
like how
Yeah,
how
what-
we use
what you
lighting,
wanna
how
put,
they use
yeah.
lighting is
Right.
completely different, yeah.
yeah.
And how about signage?
That's already, we
That's
have
already-
that.
We
that's
have
already-
that.
We have that, and awnings are in the ordinance.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm
That's
trying
the
to
only
think if
thing
there's
out of the
anything else
guidelines
that we,
in the ordinance.
that,
So you're working with Sue on this, and then
Yes.
you're gonna bring it back?
bring it back, yes, and then if we approve it, then it'll go, I
And it
think the
goes
step,
with-
it goes to council then for
No,
For an
it's an
ordinance.
ordinance change, so it'll go to planning commission. then
plan
council.
commission and, okay.
Okay.
So do we need to add to that next meeting, or?
Definitely.
Yes, we definitely.
Yep, go through the
definitely-
guidelines.
I'm sorry, we should have the volume.
Whatever you want to include.
We got it pretty covered, but there's probably more, like you said, and more you said here.
Yeah, I think the best, what I
Walk up and
have
down
been
Main
doing is
Street.
just walking and looking at a building and go, yeah, that's what I
Right.
want to save. And that's what I've been writing
I
down.
don't know if any of the buildings that have many rosettes, there's only a few.
Mhm.
So that's something that's decorative, it's on the beams, it shouldn't be painted over.
Yeah.
Covered up, for sure. There are rosettes, there's a few.
Yeah, if there's an exposed beam, and there are a few of them, I think Ted's got one, exposed I-beam.
Yeah.
We should think about if we want to keep that exposed,
If
If it's original.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about just plain I-beam, like the Oddfellows had one, but I think the ones that have any rosettes on them are decorative.
I mean, just putting something in there to try, if, anything that you can preserve, you should.
Right,
You know,
yeah.
anything from that era, and it's a matter of, you can preserve it.
Mhm.
You know, you should not be able to damage
Right.
it, take it, replace it.
Mhm.
You know, we want to encourage keeping it as original as we
Yeah.
possibly can and still get use of the building.
Mhm. Okay.
Because I know one of the problems I think we have are a lot of the doors that go to the apartments downtown are pretty bad.
Some, yes, some are.
They're
Um,
pathetic.
And we can look into that if we want
It's
to
got-
say, I understand a shop owner wanting a nice looking aluminum door that opens nice and it closes softly. I would love to have everyone just two skinny doors like they were originally and, you know, open that way, but I can't believe that people would ever go for that.
And also the
But-
energy efficiency of the.
Right. But maybe we can look into, like you're saying, Billy, the ones that go upstairs that we recommend or make them put back into a wood door. Or,
Because you're not losing a lot of energy heat.
Right,
Heat's
yeah.
not in the hallway.
right.
I mean,
Um,
so you're not couldn't use that for an excuse, but,
We can put it down and, you know,
'cause some are bad.
yes, those would be
2 or 3 old deadbolt parts.
upstairs apartment doors. How would I guess.
Apartment dwelling down doors, downstairs doors,
Access
yeah.
doors.
entry doors,
Yeah.
'cause there's several.
Mhm.
I-
And that, just because they're in bad condition, that's nothing that, I mean, we can report it, but we report it to the code enforcer, sorry, Sue, but then she would have to, you know, make the recommendation that it needs to be repaired.
But if you want them to get it repaired back to the guideline, we've gotta get it in the ordinance.
Yeah, we gotta
first.
get it into,
Yes.
that it has to be.
Otherwise, right now, they can just,
Well, yeah, they could just throw on a
Well, that's what's happening.
Menards metal, no window, no decoration on a door. And
Yeah.
yes, that would be fine, I guess.
I brought it up because they had a guy wanting me to put one in, I said, no. No, I'm not gonna do it.
Also, I guess handrails, if you have steps, should we go to a decorative metal handrail? And I mean, somebody could just throw on a wood 4x4 post and,
Yeah, I mean, it needs to be appropriate to the time.
or just,
So
you know,
how
when
we
I say
can do
decorative,
that.
I don't mean that they have to have all these twisted spindles and,
Right.
you know, fancy, but just, should we just specify a metal handrail?
I don't know, because there's some pretty cool, if somebody were to find a really cool wooden, why wouldn't we want that? You know, you're thinking of like a 2x4
Yeah.
type thing.
Right, and I don't
But
want-
But if you got some ornate
Yes.
outdoor, I mean, why would we say, no, you can't put that there because it's made out of wood, if it's some ornate hand, like they had back then?
Mhm.
So I wouldn't stress
We could
not
go
wood, but I would, you know.
metal or ornate wood.
Yeah, ornate wood, time appropriate type of,
Metal or ornate, I like that, that's a good idea.
anything that's appropriate to the original
Handrail.
time of the building is what we're looking to do. So, you know, if it's a 30s building, it's gonna be different from
Yeah,
the turn of the century.
definitely, it'll be an Art Deco
So,
style,
So,
yeah.
you know, you're gonna get different looks.
Mhm.
So we gotta be careful as far as what you can and cannot do.
Metal or ornate wood handrail,
Yeah.
appropriate to the
Handrails are
time.
gone.
Yeah,
Oh, there's hardly any,
right,
I'm trying to think.
yeah. And there were some pretty cool ones back in the day.
Date of the building. Okay. But if something jumps out, just,
Well, just bring it
Text
up,
me or-
bring it up, or,
Yeah.
get a hold of you.
and then we'll have it for, hopefully for next month.
We should take a walk down there and spend some time and you'll find some stuff.
Yeah, you probably will find more, sure. Okay, any more discussion on that? We'll just keep it coming back.
Another dead horse.
September. Grant application. So we approved giving grants out to people, up to $500. And Adam was so kind to send me
Paperwork.
paper, like an application form. And it is coming from Adam, so if you want to all look at it, you can, or if you want to trust Adam.
You can change it. There's questions I asked.
Yeah, there was questions.
So,
One is, add the 3 to 5 areas or project types you want to focus on from the guidelines. So, in the application, Adam said we should just narrow it down to 3 or 5, you know.
So,
Okay.
yeah, so the whole concept here is putting together some framework for the grant program that supports the historic preservation guidelines in the Watson Street Historic District. So it's up to a $500 grant. You must be located in the Watson Street Historic District. The applicant must be the property owner or have written permission from the property owner to get that. They must comply with all design manual and getting the certificate of appropriateness and all permits for the project. And then types of projects. Specific projects may include but are not limited to.
And then that's what we'll say.
So my whole thought process there is if somebody's coming in and doing a $1 million renovation to a building, are they gonna come and ask for $500? Maybe, but I think the.
$500.
It's 500,
I'm
yeah.
just
They didn't
saying,
give me rich being dumb.
I'm just saying,
You're gonna take it.
the majority of projects that I believe are coming in front of the board are what? $5,000 or
Yeah,
less.
at best.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you can pick a few guidelines like arch top windows, we
Yes,
want to focus
that would
on,
be
some of the things John just listed, frankly, right?
Yeah.
Putting those in there and saying these are the ones. The biggest thing is you don't want to open it up to like roofing, right?
Right.
Right.
You
No,
don't.
right.
You just want to keep it
Anything
focused on
for aesthetic.
What's visible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
signage. You don't want to
Right.
be writing a $500 check every time somebody comes in for a sign.
Right.
You're gonna go
No.
broke.
Right.
That's, so getting those core things you want in there would be my recommendation, just to
Right.
limit, so it's not wild.
Mhm.
And then I just, beyond that, there's a process, I think you'll need to kind of just set up who you want to receive the application. And then, ultimately, from there, there's an application, so you guys can.
And
Yeah.
how many of these for every year?
That's what we gotta decide.
I think we said up to 4.
4?
We agreed on
Yeah.
that before.
Yep.
A year. Would
Going
they
to
be-
the types of projects.
Would they have to prove what they're doing? I mean,
Yeah, they would have to, it would be like coming to us.
Yeah, in fact, it might
To
be a
get-
little bit step up because they would have to go with the guidelines.
Yeah, right. And that was our incentive thinking.
The reason you need to like keep it types of projects too is because you don't want everybody coming with a certificate of appropriateness and a grant application.
Mhm.
You
Right.
do want to kind of limit it, and particularly if it's a new program and funding is limited, I just would caution there that if you open it
If
up
we did
too
it
much.
for windows and doors,
Mm-hmm.
that would alone would,
The arch top windows,
yeah,
entry doors.
yeah. And like if somebody's gonna go above and beyond and put the little cool looking, there's a couple of them still downtown where you got the
Yeah.
double
Yep, the double
doors
door, yeah.
like that. So, somebody wanted to refurbish them and we donated $500 to
Mm-hmm.
refurbish, that would be a good
Yeah.
money well spent.
Yeah, restore
That's a
original wood
win-win.
doors.
Yeah, that's a win for them, a win for us.
That would be,
Yeah.
that's 3 right there, and that might be a place to
I
start.
think we're good. I believe we would get that.
You can have some flexibility in it too.
We don't want to be flexible.
Well, tuck pointing,
Yes.
things that, are good for the building and longevity of it. If they're following a guideline and it costs more money to do it, like somebody who has to replace their windows, following the guideline is not gonna cost them more money, right? It's
No.
just putting the windows back in.
Right.
But if you're like, well, we wanna see this, that's the stuff that I would try to hone in on.
Yeah. Trying to if we left it to just refurbishing, whatever, because we don't need to really help pay for a new window or door, but
Just call it a limit to refurbishing.
yeah, if somebody's gonna take some of those cool double doors out and take them somewhere and have them
Or maybe
repaired.
like limited to a restoration.
Yeah, do a
process.
restoration aspect to it. Then we're not buying new stuff, it's a way to get them to refurbish something already.
Would you go with, like, the arch top windows? Would you give a grant for that?
I would actually give a grant if they
I
were
would.
going to restore the
If
arch
they
top
restored the
Okay, so you want
windows.
restore the original
Right.
wood
Yeah.
arch top, but you don't, if they replace them, you don't want to give them,
Yeah,
Right, then don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
That
would
way,
encourage them to kind of.
if they're buying something, I would say, and, we're just throwing ideas out
Yeah.
here, but
Yeah.
I would say no to that, and I would say yes to giving it to them if they take something existing and refurbish it, and it can be
Okay.
anything.
Yeah.
But just to be, some of those things may not comply with the requirements for modern, materials, right? They may not be efficient, or, and I think the example of the non-compliant windows is a good one to say, well, okay, we're gonna approve this contingent upon you putting the round tops in, and then, by the way, here's a $500 grant to do that, because it's costing them another
Set of windows.
Yeah,
another set of
right, Yeah, I don't mind, like, the upper archtop windows helping with that.
Okay.
I would have the problem with somebody saying, I have an old aluminum entry door and I want to replace it with a new aluminum entry door.
Right.
I would not want that.
Right, no,
But if somebody is coming and saying, I want to take out my aluminum entry door and install a double entry wood door,
right, all in,
yeah.
yep, yeah. that's
So
the
that
kind
would
of thing
fall
we're
under the
looking to
wood,
do.
the restore the wood doors, and tuck pointing, I believe, is very important.
Yes.
Well, you could say limited to original historic restorations.
Mm-hmm, okay.
Yeah,
That would pretty much
Right.
cover
Based
it.
on the
Then it
guidelines or
covers
pictorial
everything.
evidence.
Pretty much
Based on
cover it.
guidelines,
Or pictorial evidence.
yeah.
yeah,
You may want to
Okay.
cap an overall project cost too, just so you're kind of narrowing the applicant pool, right? If you say, well,
The guy with $1 million.
Yeah.
You know what I just, somebody's doing $1 million versus someone who's got a building and they just need to fix it up or tuck point it for spend
Yeah.
a few grand on something. I think that's, the target here is small businesses and small property
Right,
owners.
small projects.
Not people who can afford to,
right,
Right, restore a complete building, yeah.
right. We would stay away from that. This is just a small improvement. We're looking at small improvements on buildings and throwing a little bump to them. That's pretty much it.
We could cap it like at 5,000, I mean, that would, I don't know what 3
Tuck
top
pointing.
windows would cost. I'm just trying to think, it might,
5,000 is
well,
over
it's,
5,000.
it's still up to our,
Yeah, I don't know if I'd put a number on it.
yeah,
or
it's up
not.
to our decision if we want to approve it or
Right,
not.
yeah. Because we don't know how many of these we'll get.
Right,
If we may get 2 a year, we may get 200 a year.
Yeah.
We don't know yet, so.
you can always change it if you find it to be
Right.
too overwhelming.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, if we get too many, then you'll find them all on your desk and you
Yeah.
just, yeah, we'll figure it out then.
Man, we don't have any money anymore.
That would be
Well,
also
once we
good
get
to-
this set, yes, then we can, or Adam can have somebody put it on the website, but we could have a press release also.
We can help you all with that.
Yeah.
Do an announcement, yeah.
So are we in agreement of giving 500 for archtop windows,
Yep,
tuck pointing,
yep.
and Ron, could you repeat that, the wood?
I said original historic restorations based
Original.
on guidelines.
And that could be almost anything.
That's what's good
Well,
about that.
Yeah, I like
That's what's
that.
good about it.
No, that's good.
That's very good.
Because anyone can come in.
Because we can
hey,
weasel our way in and weasel our way out.
Right,
Yeah, there you go, we gotta have a way out.
I'm sorry, that's absolutely not guidelines. Oh, this is wonderful. This is just like our guidelines.
Well, we need that clause.
Yes,
Adam said,
we might,
We'd
yeah.
be broke before we know it. We used to be broke.
But also might be good just to spur people to start thinking about these projects, even if they don't get the grant, they've started to think, okay,
Yeah.
this is how much the project will cost me. Actually, I can afford that without $500.
We know a lot of people are afraid of grants. There's
Yeah.
contingencies like, ooh,
And I was,
I don't want to be told what to do.
I was thinking of asking about, for painting your facade, but we don't control the color.
We don't control.
And I do know Ripon Main Street gives out grant money for painting, so
Right.
that's, would be
Yeah.
covered, so.
All right.
If we controlled the color, then it'd be different, we could give them money, but, so we'll let Ripon Main Street do
yeah,
that.
I think
It
this
does
is good.
state that they have to follow the guidelines.
Yeah.
It throws them. a
Could you
bone
put
out there when
color
they're
in the
doing
new ordinance?
something. I like it.
I would love to, but
Why
we
can't
tried,
you?
we tried that once.
Why not? Why can't
Well,
you?
and Craig T-Bon had a good point. I mean, everybody sees color different, and maybe a ladies' store wants pink on the outside of their, so it gets to be very personal. And he hasn't had trouble, or we haven't had trouble with, not
Something
that
out-
you know, a
outlandish.
blaze orange storefront or something like that.
You mean monster
Right.
rummage?
Yeah.
Look, if you
But
look back in
remember-
the day, there were some pretty bright things
Somewhere,
back then.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if it's done
It goes in
right.
cycles, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what he said too, that's what Craig said too.
Fad.
It goes in
Yeah.
cycles.
It was good that some of those photos were in black and white.
What's that?
I know.
How can you tell
Yeah.
the black and white
Yeah.
photos?
There was some pretty hideous stuff.
Well, David's that old, he saw it in
Oh, I
person.
did not see anything. It is not true, I was here for the fountain.
I gotta get him back for all the time he
Hey,
gets
you know,
me.
everything was white.
I did not
Okay.
build, I did not wire my house, all right?
Okay, next meeting date is yeah,
September 4th.
September 4th.
Wow. I can't.
Thank you, Ron. That was quick. September 4th, 6:30. Okay. If there's nothing else,
The only thing I can think of is also we have the historic, whatever is up in Appleton, the conference
Oh,
coming up.
yeah.
So I'm not sure if like what the dates are for kind of schedule.
I haven't gotten any emails or anything.
You know, maybe I'll.
Is that in October?
I think, yeah, it's in October, so maybe I'll
Yeah.
take that and,
I've
Okay.
got like 72 emails on it so far.
Well, that's good that you got them.
So, yeah, that's weird.
because Travis and I intend to
Um,
go there, particularly since it's in Appleton, it's easy to.
It's October 16th through the 18th at the Paper Valley in Appleton.
Okay.
Conference.
You said April,
October.
October 16th. 18th.
Okay, that's good to know.
I was gonna say, what?
And if there's a fee again, we'll pay.
All right.
I'm sure we will. We did last year, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Dave, second by Ron. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
No one ever opposes leaving.
No, not leaving. I knew it.